joined at this point by Shashi Tharoor, who's a Congress MP elected from Kerala. But not just that, he's also been the former MOS External Affairs. Thank you very much, Mr. Tharoor, for joining us. Good evening. My first question, sir. 104 Indians have been deported. Even you've said this. It isn't a first. Has happened under several US presidents, including Trump's predecessor, Joe Biden. But what's a first and very distinct is the use of US military aircraft for the deportation. How do you see that?
That's not particularly welcome. I mean, I think, honestly, the US is fully within their rights to deport anybody who is illegally on their territory or who is undocumented in other ways, but whose identity as Indian is accepted by both America and India, in which case they have every right to deport them and we have every duty to accept them. But there is no need to send them in military aircraft. There is no need to handcuff them, as some reports allege happened with some people. And therefore, I think it's important for us to say to the Americans that whatever is done, it should be done with suitable respect for the dignity of these Indian citizens and for our own respect for us as a country, that we don't treat Indians badly. I mean, I think that's something that's important for us to bear in mind.
Mr. Tharoor, let's just stay on this point a bit more. Because is the use of military aircraft Trump's political posturing? Is it a change in the urgency for the United States? How is this supposed to be seen by India and Indians?
So this is the main difference, because there's actually nothing particularly new about people being deported. As I have mentioned before, 1,100 of them have been deported in the past of our own nationals under Biden, not under Trump. And that was in the fiscal year ending September of 2024. And we knew there would be more coming because since October 2020 alone, the US Customs and Border Protection officials have detained nearly 170,000, almost 2 lakh Indian migrants who were attempting to cross the border illegally from either Canada or Mexico. And so these are all people who are subject to deportation. And since they had passports with them, we know they're Indian, we'll certainly expect to take them back. The numbers may even be larger on the whole because there are 725,000 undocumented Indian immigrants in the US as of 2022. But in the past, what has happened is that periodically, the Americans have issued an amnesty, and a lot of these people have simply stayed on and become regularized. That's why the number of Indians in America is pretty large. Not every one of them went legally as, say, students or H-1B visa holders and then got regularized and converted. Many of these people went illegally and then got regularized. With Mr. Trump, I think that period is over. There won't be any amnesties. There'll only be expulsions. And that is happening not just to Indians. There have been flights to Colombia, flights to Mexico, flights to El Salvador. And we're going to see more and more people being sent back to other countries because Trump made that a major campaign point. And as you rightly said, Sneha, the urgency that Mr. Trump is showing is to demonstrate something to his base, that he's taking decisive action on something that matters to his base. So I have very little doubt that we're going to see more plane loads more rapidly. But it would take an awful lot of plane loads to bring 725,000 people. And I don't know how far that's going to go. Some of the people concerned are very productively employed and making a difference to their communities. And there may be some local pressure to keep them there. I think it's the ones who are, first of all, in detention centers who are being sent back. And then only will we see people being rounded up from other places. But those who are already engaged in work and so on, they might still be safe for a while, but God knows how long, because Mr. Trump has made this into a politically important issue.
Mr. Tharoor, let's just look at some numbers. I was just going through the record. In fact, between 2021 and 2024 itself, there's been at least a 400% increase in deportation of illegal Indian immigrants or migrants, whichever way we look at them. And this is just between 2021, 2024. So this is a big India problem as well.
Look, I mean, the fact is that if there are more people being sent back, it's because there are more people going. And in fact, I wrote an article last year in which I asked the question why there are so many going, and that too from states that are supposed to be doing relatively well. There was this notorious case of an Indian family of 4 who were trying to cross illegally into the US from Canada, who froze to death on the border in the winter of January 2022. And it turned out they were a fairly affluent family from one of India's more prosperous states, Gujarat. So what's going on? Why are people from Gujarat and Punjab and other places? It's not, in the case of Gujarat, it wasn't unemployment, I don't think. I think it was really a situation to do with, in many cases, the fact that people are constantly looking for a better life. Now, I'm afraid America has no obligation to take people who sneak into their country without authorization. And that is an entirely reasonable stand. Every country has its own immigration laws. We do too. And at least in theory, any illegal immigrant found in our country is also subject to deportation. We have deported a few foreigners, nothing like the numbers the US is talking about, but we have deported a few foreigners every year that I'm aware of. So we do it. Every country does it. It's just that in America, because it's been such a magnet for people looking for a better life, there's been a much larger number involved. And curiously enough, the number of Indians has been growing. Even in the days of Amritsar, I must say the BJP government has not been able to retain as many people at home. Even in a prosperous state like Gujarat or Punjab, people are leaving in large numbers, and many of them, unfortunately, are choosing to go illegally.
Mr. Tharoor, in fact, President Trump and Prime Minister Modi are going to be meeting each other shortly. How significant is it going to be, particularly in the light of what's happened over the last few days and the military craft being used for this deportation, the entire deportation process? How much of it is going to really focus on the discourse?
To be honest, you're probably right that Mr. Trump will want to raise it. I don't see any reason for Mr. Modi to raise it. But if Mr. Trump raises it, I think all Mr. Modi can say is that Mr. Trump is within his rights to send these people back. But he should do so in a decent manner, ideally on civilian aircraft and without any handcuffs or other inappropriate treatment. They're illegal, send them back. They have a home in this country and they'll be sent back to their homes by the government of India. Government of India will receive them as it has received all the previous plane loads of deportees. It should be done without any unpleasantness. That's the only thing that we can say. I don't think that from our point of view, we have any objection to offer, and I don't think we should be objecting.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tharoor. Thank you so much for your time and joining us.
Thank you, Sneha. All the very best. But let me add one last thing, which is I want India to be a land of hope again. Our much wanted economic success story has not produced enough jobs, enough opportunities, enough employment, and better standards of living for too many people. And that's why these people are leaving. I want a day when these Indians will stay in India and make India prosper. And I hope that the government and all political parties will unite in ensuring that we create a better India that people will not want to leave, rather than object or protest when they're being sent back for doing something that's against the law.